You've spent months preparing for and looking at a particular business or commercial property, and you've decided to make the contract, make the go, have a go at it. And suddenly this fear just comes across you. What do I do? How do I secure the tenants or the key staff of the business? I mean, it won't look good on your resume if you just bought a big asset and you've lost the source of income from it. G'day, I'm Peter Bender from Bundaberg Commercial. I'm a commercial realtor and business broker. And today we're going to talk about how you can secure your tenants or secure your key staff of the business that you're buying. The first thing that you need to consider is, do the staff or the tenants even know that the business or property has been for sale? So we can have a look at the two aspects. Sometimes you'll find that the staff or suppliers, key contractors or tenants are not even aware that the business is being sold. So you need to handle this a little bit carefully. Now, it could be for a number of reasons. Sometimes businesses don't like to let people know that they're for sale. Same with commercial properties. The owner could think that it's no one else's business. They don't want people to know about it. They may be sensitive to contracts that are applicable, suppliers, maybe confidentiality agreements that they need to look at. There's any number of reasons. Or they could just be scared if they tell their staff or they tell their tenant that they're going to lose them anyway. So they would rather have the buyer have that issue than themselves. So the first thing you need to understand and ask the seller that you're talking with is, does the tenant or does the key staff of the business know that it's for sale? And this is very important, particularly for those clients of mine and some of the buyers. They will sign a confidentiality agreement, and the first paragraph says, "Thou shalt not go to the property without your real estate agent." And they decide to go and do a mystery shop. And doesn't it all hit the fan? When they turn in, they have a look around, and people are saying, "Who are you? What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just having a look around." "Well, how can we help you?" No, we just understand you're for sale, so I'm going to have a look at buying it." And suddenly everyone goes, "What? We don't know anything about that." Nobody likes surprises, especially if you're a tenant and you suddenly find out that your business building is for sale, or if you're a key staff member of a business, you thought you had a great relationship with the boss, and you find out that now the business is for sale and you didn't even know about it. So make sure you don't do mystery shops, apart from the fact it actually violates confidentiality agreements, and you could be up for the whole commission if that sale doesn't go through. That is a message for a lot of people. And look, it's opportunistic. People like to do that. They don't like to be escorted around and having to deal with a real estate agent from the start. If you're going to do a mystery shop or a drive-by, do it after hours. Have a look around. Use a little bit of common sense. I mean, if you spent this time and you're looking at getting that property or looking at getting that business, you don't want to be the one that stuffs it all up before even day one. The other aspect is they may know about it. So how do you tackle the situation? A good, nice, gentle way is to introduce yourself to the tenant or introduce yourself to the key staff member with the seller's approval at the stage of when you do inspections. So when you're doing a walk around, you'll find some key staff members. You'll find that the tenant, I mean, commercial property is pretty easy unless they're doing an inspection after hours, and that's easy paid. You build the relationship because it's almost like a referral. The building owner will introduce you, give you the validity of being there, and that will also alleviate the concern for the staff. The other thing that's important is you need to be aware, particularly in my environment where it's all commercial, you may need to have PPE, and that means boots, long pants, high-vis gear. If you haven't got it, quite often the building premises will have a few on hand. Make sure you use it, because if you go in that place and you slip on some oil and you hurt yourself, you've got a whole lot of pain and suffering from occupational health and safety. And you may not actually be covered by that because you have breached that standard, basic safety principles. So be a little bit aware of that, particularly like I have a lot of automotive businesses, a lot of construction businesses, anything like that, even hardware stores. You step on a nail, life hurts, and you don't want complications. So when you're doing your inspections, just as a side point, make sure you obey all the safety rules. Now, once you've ascertained whether it's a yes or no situation, the staff know or the tenant knows, then the process is pretty much the same. The first thing to recognize is you are concerned that you may lose a tenant or you may lose staff member. Realize that they are also worried. A tenant, the last thing they want to know is, oh, gee, what's this new landlord going to be like? Is he going to validate my lease? Is he going to toss me out? Is he going to run his own business? Whilst they have legal security with leases and the likes, there's no real guarantee and they will get scared. They will be emotional. Same with key staff. Am I going to have a job? What's these people going to do? They're going to bring in new staff. So recognize that you may be worried, but they're worried as well. And from there is the basis of building a relationship and alleviate their worry. Have a look. I'm just looking at some notes. So the first thing to explain to both a tenant or key staff is let them know that they are an asset. They are a key part of the reason why you are buying the business or the commercial property. Let them understand the importance that they have to you. Most people won't abuse that situation. For staff, they may renegotiate your wages, but generally not. They just want to know they've still got a job. And the tenant, he doesn't want to be moving out, or she doesn't want to be moving out. So provide them with that assurance straight away. That's assuming you're not going to kick them out or we're not going to fire them. If the situation is that you want them as an asset, then let them know that they're an asset to go with. One of the things that you need to consider is when you talk with your tenants and talk with your prospective employees, do you want the owner to be present or not? I've had some times when the owner of the existing property is probably less than friendly and polite. In those instances, the personalities are very different. You may want to go around yourself. Just ask them their permission. Do you mind if I go and talk to the tenant? Do you mind if I go and talk to some of the staff? You'll usually find yes. Sometimes a power-based person will say no, I have to be there with you. And that's okay. Put that as a little flag. Just check the questions and look how the staff member reacts to the seller that's on site. Use what we call emotional sensitivity, emotional intelligence. You'll pick up the vibes pretty quickly if the staff like the boss or not. Quite often, staff are happy if there's a new boss. It's usually about a 50-50. Sometimes they're really happy with what they are and they don't like change. Other times, they might have been thinking about moving on anyway. Now they've got an opportunity to get a new boss and not have to transition across. One of the things that they look at is, what about if people leave? My philosophy in life is the weak will always leave. And for a buyer, you want that done earlier rather than later. Sometimes that may be why a seller doesn't tell their staff that they're leaving or the tenant that they're leaving, because they know that the staff or the tenant may want to go anyway. So it's important that you talk to the key people, and a good time to do it is between the period of when you've had an offer accepted and when the contract is signed. Most lawyers will take 2 to 3 weeks to get that paperwork organised, but you've got the verbal agreement from the seller that you're going to buy the asset that you're looking at and the conditions in place. So that's a good time and a valid time for you to go and talk to the tenant and talk to the staff. They're going to turn over pretty quick, and you'd rather want them out of their premises before you go in, or you want to at least understand which ones are going and which ones are going to stay. One of the tricky things that people don't understand in regards to if you have staff and you're going to buy a business is it is the seller who pays out the benefits, such as the long service leave, the superannuation, or the annual leave. And they will actually cancel their employment contract on the day of settlement. And what you will do is have a new contract in place. So you need to get that all sorted out before settlement date. So it may be a case that you pay people according to wages, according to awards, or it may be that they are on special packages. Sometimes there may be a handshake agreement that they can take a car home at night time. They may be allowed to have particular hours off in a week to do something discretionary, something personal that they want to have a look at. These are the things you need to quickly clarify and include in a new employment agreement. It's interesting when you have a contract, once again, that's focused on buying a business. In the section of buying the business, they will have an area where you list the staff. It indicates what their position is and what their hourly rate is. There's two lines of thoughts, and I'm not convinced that lawyers all have the same thinking. One line of thought is if you include names and wages on the contract, then it binds you to hold onto the staff that you're about to buy the business from. I'll give an example. Recently, I sold a bakery, and they decided not to put the names on the contracts because they had no intention of keeping the staff. They're going to bring their own team in. Some lawyers will say if you put the names on the contract, there's no binding that you have to actually accept the staff on settlement day. Others say that you are bound. So if you're not going to have the staff, make sure you get clarification from your solicitor, but it may be best not to put them on that section of the contract that indicates staff. That's a tricky one, a space to watch. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. You will find, surprisingly, that there will be turnover, even natural attrition. So during the period of the contracts and when you're getting finance, when you're getting to the stage of settlement, keep in touch with the staff, keep in touch with the tenants, keep in touch with the seller, keep asking them every couple of weeks, how's business going? How's the tenant going? Are they in arrears? Are they paying up to date? Have they made any noises in regards to expanding or needing anything particular? That sort of type aspect is what you need to keep a track on. Just because something was agreed to in October, by the time December comes around and everything's settled, you may find you've got a whole new team. And that's something that you may not be too upset about, but you want to make sure that you're definitely aware of it. That's probably one other aspect is in buying a commercial property, there will be a lease in place. You have two options available. Quite often we call assigning a lease, which means the seller takes their name off the lease and the buyer puts their name on it instead, and the tenant retains all the conditions and terms accordingly. Alternatively, you can actually work with the tenant and say, look, are you comfortable for me to do a new lease? Maybe it's a benefit to both parties. It may be a month-by-month lease currently. That's quite common. A lot of business owners won't put a long lease in place if they're going to think of selling the business or selling the commercial property. So what you want to do is have a look at asking the tenant, are they wanting to maintain the existing lease or are they wanting to get a new lease in place? And this is probably predicated by making sure you have that discussion with your lawyer first. By getting a copy of the existing lease, you'll have an understanding. If you've got something like a 5+5+5 lease in place, odds are the tenant's not going to want to change it, and that's cool. That's part of the asset flow that you're looking for. Look, reality is such that even the best laid plans, can fall apart. I've seen clients buy a commercial property and have secured a really long lease, only to find that 8 months later they came in there and the tenant was gone, moved on. So there's no assurance on there, but by checking and talking with the people, both business owners and business sellers and staff and tenants, you're going to be halfway to at least getting a feel if you're going to have a secure proposition. So I hope this makes it a little bit easier for you. Things to look at, remember, ask if the tenants or key staff know that the business or property is for sale. And if it is, just go through the process, get to talk to them and know them between the accepted offer stage and the contract stage, and keep touches every couple of weeks or once a month, depending on how long the contract is, to make sure things haven't changed. Keep very close to your lawyer during this time because there's lots of quirky things you need to be aware of. That's probably about it, but it's a very important little session that we go on, and it's something that a lot of my clients do worry about, both buyers and sellers. So that gives you some guidelines. So until next week, I hope you secure that property and secure the tenant or the key personnel well. And until next week, take care and God bless.